All right, we're going to dive into a test, a really profound one. It's a test that kind of gets to the heart of the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. And it boils down to this huge choice between two very different ways of living. One is about healing what's broken, and the other? Well, that's about creating something totally new. Let's get into it. So let me ask you this directly. Are you a healer or a trailblazer? And listen, this isn't just some fun little personality quiz. This question gets at two completely different philosophies for life. Two ways of dealing with, well, everything the world throws at you. You know, most of the stories we grow up with, they all kind of follow the same script. You've seen it 1,000 times in movies and books, everywhere. But what if I told you there's another path? A much harder one, for sure. A path that isn't about fixing things, but about creating them from the ground up. Okay, so let's start with what we all know. The story you know, the familiar loop of the hero's journey. This is what's called the hero's journey. You've probably heard of it. The great mythologist Joseph Campbell called it the monomyth because, man, it is everywhere. It's this universal blueprint for storytelling that pops up in practically every culture. Think Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, Frodo. They all follow this path. And the structure's pretty straightforward, right? It's a cycle, a loop. Act 1, the hero leaves their normal, everyday life. Act 2, they go through a bunch of trials, they face some big challenge. And Act 3, they come back home, but they're changed, they're transformed, and they bring something back to help everyone. It's all about leaving and then coming back. And that's the key thing to remember here. The whole point of the hero's journey is to restore things. It's about fixing what's broken, bringing balance back to the world, and basically putting things back the way they were supposed to be. It's a mission of healing. Okay, but here's where things get interesting. What if that whole goal, restoring balance, is actually a trap? Some thinkers look at this whole heroic cycle and see something else entirely. Not a path to freedom, but a cozy, comfortable prison. I mean, listen to this critique. The hero's journey is just a recipe for comfort for people who are afraid. Ouch, that's sharp, right? It's basically saying this beloved story we tell ourselves is like candy. It's sweet, it's comforting, but it's ultimately poison for anyone who truly wants to forge their own way. It holds you back. So, why is it a trap? Well, think about it. The final destination is always back to the safety of the group, the herd. This whole path is about following the rules, leaning on your mentors, your Obi-Wans and your Dumbledores, and that reliance on external crutches can stop you from doing the really hard work, creating your own values. So in the end, it's not about real freedom. It's about fitting back in. So if the hero's path is a trap, what's the alternative? This critique basically screams for a new kind of story, a new kind of person. Not a hero who restores, but a creator who builds something radically new. And that brings us to path number 2, forging the creator's path. This isn't a comfortable loop. Think of it more like a steep, brutal climb, a radical ascent. And it starts somewhere completely different. Yeah, there's no call to adventure here, no Gandalf knocking on your door. The creator's journey kicks off with a powerful, resounding no. It's a total rejection of the easy, comfortable life that, let's be honest, most people are chasing. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche had a name for this constant hunt for comfort and safety. He called it slave morality. You can think of it as the marketplace mindset, this modern obsession we have with life hacks, shortcuts, the path of least resistance. The very first thing the creator has to do is just walk away from all of that, completely. Okay, this chart really breaks it down. Look at the difference here. The hero's goal, restore balance. The creator's goal, create entirely new values. The hero fights some external villain, right? A dragon, an evil empire. But the creator's enemy is internal. It's that feeling of utility, of resignation. And the outcome? The hero comes full circle, back to the herd. The creator? They achieve a state of perpetual becoming, always growing, always creating. There are two fundamentally different destinations. So you see, the creator's biggest fight isn't out there in the world against some monster. The war is waged entirely inside. It is a battle for the soul. And on this path, there are 3 great enemies you have to defeat within yourself. First, you've got the shadow. That's the little voice that's always tempting you to just take it easy. Then there's the soothsayer. This is the voice of nihilism, the one that whispers, why bother? It's all pointless anyway. But the biggest, baddest one of them all, that's the one that crushes your very soul. Nietzsche called this final foe the spirit of gravity. And it's a perfect name for it, isn't it? It's that soul-crushing weight of futility, that feeling of just giving up. He even imagined it as a squat dwarf sitting on your shoulder, making every single thing feel heavy and meaningless. Overcoming that is the creator's main event. All right, so after battling all these inner demons, the creator finally reaches the summit of their ascent. And right here, at the peak, is where they face the ultimate test, a test that will define everything. And the choice boils down to this, a powerful metaphor. Are you going to be a moon, or are you going to be a sun? The moon just passively reflects light from another source. It reflects the values of others. But the sun creates its own light, its own heat, its own value. That's the choice. And to truly become a sun, you have to pass one last mind-bending test. It's called eternal recurrence. And this is way more than just a cool thought experiment. It's the ultimate commitment to your own life. It's the final stamp of approval on this entire journey of self-mastery. So imagine this. A demon comes to you and asks you this question. Would you, and not just endure it, but joyfully agree to live your life, this exact one, over and over again for eternity? Every high, every low, every moment of joy, and every second of pain. All of it on a loop, forever? What would you say? Because if you can look at that demon and say yes, well, that changes everything. You become what Nietzsche called a yay-sayer, someone who says yes to all of it. And this is what he meant by the Übermensch. It's not some superhero. It's a human being who has so completely mastered themselves that they can affirm their entire existence and become a true creator of their own values. They finally, truly defeated that spirit of gravity. And that brings us right back to the beginning, to that first question. Healer or trailblazer? Because it really is a choice that each of us has to think about. So, which is it? One path is about healing the world as it is. The other is about forging a world that doesn't even exist yet. I want to leave you with this question to chew on. Which kind of person does the world need more of today? The one who heals and restores what's broken, or the one who is brave enough to shatter the old ways and create something completely new?